It's Monday, and you know what that means. It's time for another video here at PNX Handhelds. And this week, I have the TrimUI Smart Pro right here. Why? Because the fine folks over at TrimUI just sent me the upgraded TrimUI Smart Pro S. Is it worth the upgrade? I don't know yet, and I know you don't know yet either. So let's find out together right after this. Hey fam, swati tu kong crap. P-Nick here. And first and foremost, I want to thank you. Yes, you for joining me for another video. I know I'm still relatively new at YouTube, as I've only had a channel for about 9 months, and I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of getting better at videos, video by video. I'm still nowhere near perfect, but it's community like you that really makes it better. Now, one thing I just wanted to be fully transparent on, every 1,000 new subscribers I receive, I give away a subscriber giveaway. Soto won 2 weeks ago, but I still haven't heard from him. So, Soto, if you watch this, please reach out to my email. I sent you an email back when you first won. So please check it and maybe in your spam folder, I don't know, but check it and reply to me because I want you to receive your gift. But that said, if I don't hear from you by the Wednesday live stream, I'll be giving away 2 giveaways to people that have fulfilled the requirements, which are to subscribe to the channel and either subscribe to my blog, phoenix-handhelds.com, or link in the description to my Discord server, join the new Discord server that I just launched last live stream. I want to grow a vibrant community where we all love talking about handheld and technology in general and build a great family. That's why I say, hey fam, because I want you to all be like a big family. Enough jibber jabber. Let's get into this box right now because I'm excited about this. Now, full transparency, they do offer this color. This is the DMG gray color, and I think it looks absolutely great. And I'll be honest with you, when I finished the review for this, which I paid for with my own money back in the day, my wife grabbed it and said, hey, can I have this? She really loved it from the get-go. It's definitely a PS Vita clone, and it's one of the best Vita clones I've ever seen. So kudos to them. And that's coming from a guy that owns 2 Vitas to this day. All right, the famous TrimUI cardboard box that we all know and love. Well, at least I know and love. Well, let's find out what we've got in here. All right, so we got a case. One thing I love about TrimUI is they love customization as much as I do. That's something I'll go over in my review. But for example, if you want a gray device like this, but you want gray buttons, you can do that. Or black buttons, you can do that. They allow you to be able to purchase different button combinations you want to make it truly your own on both of these devices. So we got a case. All right, we got a TrimUI thank you card. All right, we have a micro SD card, 64 gigabytes. One of the things that I will be doing on my Wednesday live stream is testing this out. Why? Because one of my members on my Discord server pointed me to Dead Fred's video where he said that by replacing it, he was able to get much better emulation. So I want to test the read-write speeds on this as well as one of my high-end 128 gigabyte SanDisk Ultra cards to see which one actually performs better. Is it really negligible or is it really as large as Dead Fred said? Not disbelieving him, but I want to test it live with everyone. So, peace of mind, you can experience that with me during the live stream. Okay, we'll set this to the side. So, as I mentioned, they do have kind of a gray one. And so, if you wanted to buy alternate buttons like these buttons and put it on here, you definitely could. And I love that we get that customization with them. Now, I know you're going to look at this and say they look exactly the same. They've upgraded quite a bit here, new stick types, whereas these are like Vita, you can't click on them. Now you can click on them. And I believe they're new TMR technology, which is the best stick technology you can buy. So we'll go over all of that, but let's take a look around the box. Still a 4.96 or basically 5-inch diagonal 16:9 display with 2 analog sticks, stereo speakers. And I have to tell you, TrimUI for the dollar makes some of the best speakers you can get. My wife is always impressed whenever I play the TrimUI Brick Hammers speakers, which are basically the same speakers in this. So you know you're getting some good quality sounding speakers. All right, what do we got over here? Just again, kind of mentioning the basic stuff, USB-C. There is active cooling because it is a much faster chip. It's reported this is about 2.5 times slower than this. This is much faster. Okay, anything else interesting on the box? That's kind of their logo and also the cooling vents. And you can see I chose red because I haven't had a red device from TrimUI. other than the TrimUI Model S, link in the description. But yes, it looks good. Let's take a look here. Now, this device retails for about $90 on their website. So it's in that price range with the Mungmi Air X and the Aeneo Pocket Air Mini. I get that completely. Of course, they're going for a different audience type, I guess, with this compared to those companies, but still puts it in tough category because there's lots of competition there, which is only going to be the benefit to us. All right, so we have our box. Of course, they give us our little placard here, and then they're kind enough to tell us how to do things, and I appreciate that. Download and copy from the root directory of the SD card. Turn on the device. All right, beautiful, beautiful. Now, it does look exactly the same in general, but it is different in some ways. So let's take a look at that here in a moment. Okay, we do get a manual, which I do appreciate because a certain $630 handheld could only be bothered to give us a QR code to scan if we wanted a manual. So I'm glad we get that, because if you're new to this technology, new to this hobby, you want to be able to have a nice little setup guide, and this gives you that nice easy setup guide. Even tells you how to add games and thumbnails. So kudos to them for remembering that. And of course, a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. Now, this will be still a slow charging device if I understand correctly. So don't connect this to your phone's fast charger. Make sure you're connecting this to the wall adapter that is directly in the wall, or like the USB on your computer. That would be the way you'd want to go for charging this device so you don't burn it out. Okay. So let's take a look here as we move the device outside of its little baggie. Oh boy, you know, like I said, I love my red and I love contrasting colors. Now, because my favorite sports team is red and white, I might choose to do that to kind of give it a grayish whitish look, but I'm glad we get that option. But out of the box, it does look pretty sharp with red and black. And I like we have a little splash of color here as well. So just kind of quick tour here. We get our D-pad nice and quiet as usual. We have sticks that look the same, but are definitely have a little bit more firmness to them, and now we can click them. Again, they are the new TMR technology, which means that you won't have a drift where it'll start to sag over time because they're magnetically held in place. And these are low power consumption compared to the Hall effect ones are. So again, you get more battery power out of it. You can see we still get some RGB lighting. I'll be interested to see if they've upgraded it or if it's similar to what's already there. You do get a status light here, which I always loved. So whenever you plug it in, it tells you if it's charging or if it's fully charged just with that light. Again, your stereo speakers, your face buttons, a little clicky, but still some of the quietest you can get. Face buttons, again, also these start, select, and menu button, a little clicky, but still nice and quiet overall. They've added a bit more range of motion to the triggers here. It's a little bit louder, but you can see they're a little bit bigger, a little bit more range of motion. So the trigger's a little bit louder, but the bumper is a little bit quieter. Interesting. The volume button is a little bit louder. Power is about the same. They've added a new home button. We still have our function button down there. And again, I'm not sure what this is for since it's a plastic device. It's not like you need an antenna line, so I'm not sure what they're doing there. Maybe it still handles it better. I don't know. And as I mentioned, they added active cooling. So here's the intake. Here's the outtake or exhaust. So yeah, it's not too bad. It does look like a Japanese second or third generation Vita. During my review, I'll take out my Japanese exclusive PS Vita. That was a third generation to do a comparison there as well. But just from the word go, pretty good. Now, before we get started, I'll go ahead and at least take out the memory card for right now. See if I can't pop this guy out. There we go. Now with these Chinese ones, you usually want to put the label facing down, not label up. I know we're used to putting label up, but usually these go label down. Oh, did they fix it? Oh, they did fix it. All right. Good job, TrimUI. Because it always is always a little frustrating for me. And you'll notice we have two USB-C ports. So this one says DC. So this is the one you're designed to put the charger on. And then if you want to connect a wired controller, that's what the host is for. All right, let's turn it on. See if she has any juice from the start. She does. Now TrimUI does get some really good IPS displays. So just from the get-go, I'm not seeing any like grayness to the screen. The black looks pretty black compared to a lot of other IPS displays. We have a nice breathing effect here on the RGB. Now I'll have the colors available displayed on the screen right now for you. They offer this in the red that I already have, so I'm not going to show you that. And then they do have a yellow, which I strongly considered. Another color that I had strongly considered was the green, but I had already reviewed the green TrimUI brick hammer, so I decided not to go that route. If you want a classical color, they have black. And then they have the white that's on the box. And then the DMG gray, just like the one that I reviewed on the TrimUI Smart Pro. Which color would you go with? Let me know down in the comment section below. Which one speaks to you? That said, let's get back here and find out what we've got here. So apparently we've got Castlevania, classic game, Earthbound, FC multi-cartridges. Okay, so FC's Famicom, so the Japanese original NES. Fire Emblem Heroes. Nostalgic games. Interesting that they have quite the interesting selection here. Oh, these are the bests category. Let's see, Castlevania. Wow, they have 11 different Castlevanias on here. Of all different consoles, nice. See, we have a nice box art as well. Let's go back. Let's go to games over here by tapping the bumper, and then we can choose our category or console. You can see we have a lot of different consoles on here. You get some PSP because again, PSP is capable here. Pico 8, if you're not familiar with Pico 8, it was designed to be similar to the NES, but it's stronger than the NES in some ways, weaker than the NES in some ways, to kind of force developers to be creative. And this is a fantasy console, so they never created a Pico 8 console or a handheld, truly. What they did is they just created the specs and said create games for it to be on these type of emulation devices and on your computer, which I think is really cool. Let's see what did they give us out of the box for the PSP. Okay, they gave us God of War, which is always a good game. We got Grand Theft Auto, both of those, or all three of them. Nice. All right. I guess for make sure they get the soccer player, they gave us PES 2014. I think that's a pretty good selection to start with. Now, one thing that, of course, ROMs are copyrighted material, so it's kind of the gray area that you get a device that comes with them, and I get that. But if you're new to the hobby, I think this is a great way because what you can do is you can, of course, take the micro SD card, put it in your computer, and transfer everything off of it and have your own ROM collection. But yeah, not too bad for the start. Of course, I'll be changing up some of the games that are on there. Back. All right. So then they have ports. And again, I know this is a gray area. Balatro, Stardew Valley, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I know that these are gray areas. Celeste. So I get that. Function key settings. So remember we have this toggle here. Let's see, what can we do there? So you can do it where you quickly turn on and off the LEDs. Put it in silent mode if you want. Power save pin mode, turn on the power performance mode. If you want to do turbos. So it's not the most customizable, but compared to a lot of other devices that don't give you any of this functionality, especially for Linux-based devices like this, I'm glad we get that option. I'm tempted either between silent mode or performance mode. I'll have to decide after doing some testing to see if performance mode is worth it. And yes, you'll notice, I forgot to mention it, but we do have a 3.5mm headphone jack. We do have a reset button if needed. So everything we could possibly need, they have given us, and I appreciate that. Okay, let's go back. Okay, Moonlight for PC streaming. Not sure how good this SoC is for streaming, but you know, it's all right. Appreciate that. SD card formatter. So if you want to format your SD card, you can. If you want to check the storage, you can. Did they give us any videos? Last time, I believe they gave us a video of the promotional video of this, but let's see here. Yeah, let's just exit it. But again, nice that this is a multimedia device because a lot of Linux-based devices are not multimedia devices. They're just gaming consoles. I'm glad that they give us that. So you can save your favorite pictures here, have your videos, your music. So this could also be like an MP3 player. So it's multifunction, which is really nice. Makes it closer to those Android handhelds in that regard. So RetroArch, user guide. All right, did I miss settings? Might play. There we go, settings. Okay. I have to keep going over to settings, its own thing. Okay, we have display, which of course then we have our brightness, we have our LEDs, volume, themes. I always liked their themes. So we have the default, TrimUI, and they give us a little thumbnail to show us what it looks like. TrimUI blue, TrimUI energy, Genesis, TrimUI green Yahai. I don't know. Okay, TrimUI green, TrimUI red, TrimUI yellow. All right, good, good. And then we do have menu. What does menu do? I'm not sure. Well, let's go with red because I have a red device. Okay, gives it a nice different look there. All right. Homepage. Okay, so we can choose what we see on our homepage. Nice. Emapper. System. There we go. We want to go into system, language, pan speeds, refresh ROMs. So if you add your games, come in here to refresh your ROM list. Date and time. Definitely need to do that because the time's not right. Factory reset, developer settings, hardware test, calibrating the joysticks, flash mode, device info. All right, so let's just take a look at the calibration of joysticks. So you can see it's nice and dead center right now. And see, I can just gently move it and it's picking it all up. Because again, TMR is the most accurate type of sticks you can get. I'm glad that they've included it here. If you want to just do little nudges, you can do little nudges and it's catching it all. It doesn't look like there's any cardinal snapping, which is going directly to the corners or to the diagonals and skipping everything else. It looks like it's able to articulate all the way around. So if you saw there was an issue, like if it was starting over here, for example, but it was straight, that's where you could go press A and calibrate the joysticks or the analog sticks. But as you can see, mine line up nice and centered, so I don't think it needs it. Oops. Um, Back. Can I go back? Okay, well, we'll do left because I accidentally pressed A. Again, because I'm a PlayStation guy, so I'm used to the bottom button being the enter button. I always confuse myself, so we'll do left stick. Or can I go back? All right, we just went back. Never mind. So there you go. And hardware test, I'm sure would be the same thing, but for face buttons and the triggers and all of that fun stuff. So NetPlay should be able to turn on Wi-Fi. Okay. UI version 2025 1120, so nice and recent there. Same thing for the Linux version. I'm glad that they gave us something up to date there. We do get 1 GB of memory, which is nice compared to the last device that I just reviewed. Okay, and then again, we did get a 64 GB card in here. Wi-Fi. Yes, definitely don't forget to subscribe and join the Discord server. The easiest way to, one, connect with everyone else that's enthusiastic about handhelds, especially if you're new to the hobby, and also qualify for subscriber giveaways. Even if you just subscribed right before the video, you'll still qualify for those subscriber giveaways. All right, apps, ports. What should we play? Now, in Dead Fred's video, he did include Tekken 6. I don't have Tekken 6 out of the box on my card, so I can add it though. I do have it on my ROM collection already, so we'll consider that. But usually God of War is pretty good. Which one should we do? Chains of Olympus or Ghost of Sparta? Let's go God of War, the top one here. Now this is a 720 panel, so it's not a 1080p panel, but again, it's 5 inches. And the thing to remember is oftentimes, for example, if you have, let me turn this down. I like that we can actually see what our volume limit is, not just a graph there, so that's nice. But what I was saying though is a lot of times when we see something that doesn't look so good, right? You're looking at a 1080p panel and then you're not upscaling to 1080p. So that would be the big differences. This is 720p, so whenever you have things upscaled to 720p or close to 720p, that's when it will look good on here. So it's a plus that it is a 720p panel because this isn't going to be the most powerful handheld by any means, but it also doesn't need to be because 720p is a lot less pixels to generate, so you can get more bang for your buck with a weaker processor and a 720p panel as long as it is a good 720p panel. And this is a pretty good 720p panel. I can already tell you that. And as I mentioned, this is basically a Vita clone because if memory serves me correctly, the Vita was a 4.96-inch screen as well. And the second and third generations were LCD, whereas the original generation was OLED. So it will be comparable to my Japanese exclusive one that was also an OLED. I mean, also a LCD. All right. So let's see here. It's doing 1. Let's try doing 2, just for giggles. Full screen, frame skip off. Um, yeah, since it's a 60 frame game, let's try that. Or it is a 60 frame device. Of course, that'll only be putting it up there if, actually, let's turn it off first. Yeah, now that I think about it, let's let it try to be that first. And let's do our frame counter so we can see. So we're getting 30, 31. I'll have to look because I thought this game is natively a 60 frame per second game, but let's just turn that on, see if that makes a difference. Of course, it's just duplicating the images, but it looks better because just like the resolution, if you get to the frame rate of the panel, then it looks good if it's not one that can auto adjust its own frame rate. So it's always trying to display 60 frames per second. So if you can give it 60 frames, it will look smoother. Okay, let me just see here. So we're getting 20 or so. Okay, let's just turn that back off. See if we can stick at 30 at 2x because that's closer to the 720p. It does running a bit smoother. 30 instead of the 2016. We are still at the 2x. Okay. Kratos being the good soldier here, can't let the Spartans go down. Okay, definitely getting a bit higher frame rate here. All right. So it looks good overall. I mean, could it be better? Yes. And that's why one of the things that we'll be testing is Dead Fred's theory that a different micro SD card will provide better resources. So we'll do the read write testing on the live stream to validate that. Again, not doubting Fred, but I just like to be able to show my audience what we can expect together. So it is comfortable to hold because you have a nice angle here. Yes, this is a bit of a edge, but it's still rounded and chamfered pretty nicely. So feels nice in the hand. Go back. All right, we got PlayStation, we got 12 games. Did they include my favorite game? No, they did not. Those bums. They know they should have included my favorite game. And you'll notice not every game has a thumbnail, but a number of them do, or box art. PC Engine, Pico 8, Sega Saturn. We do get 3 Sega Saturn games. All right. All right, so we get Symphony of Night from the Sega Saturn, not on the PlayStation. Interesting. But I guess it'll look good either way, so we'll give that a try. Sega Saturn is generally more difficult to emulate than on the PlayStation because the Sega Saturn had 2 CPUs versus PlayStation had 1 CPU. So obviously, more difficult thing to emulate. It's loading the disk. And for the live stream, leave down in the comments what games you'd like to see me testing on this. And as long as I can test them, I will. One thing I will test is there was a subscriber that previously requested on the Sega Saturn the Panzer Dragoon game, so we'll test that out. I don't know if it's just crashed, if it's just stuck. Let's see. It's not stuck in the traditional sense. Yaba Sanshiro is a lighter weight one, so usually it works better, but it's not loading in the traditional way. So I don't know, that maybe that's its limit. But like I say, it's still not a huge range of motion, just a little bit, but at least it's an improvement. Definitely is an improvement. Okay, and we do have a home button up here, and this is what you can do. You can come up here. I'm not sure what this does yet, but you can change your brightness and all of that right there. You can change or see your CPU and your temps, change your fan speeds. So we get some quick action settings like on Android, Bluetooth if you want to turn on Bluetooth, Wi-Fi if you want to turn on Wi-Fi. LED, turn them off. I'm not sure about that, but all right. Vibration. Okay, so it just takes a moment to turn on and off. Okay. Again, if you want this to be your MP3 player, okay, interesting home button. And I'm glad, so it's basically a quick action button. So instead of swiping down like you would on Android or on iOS, press your home button. Remember, I'm learning alongside you. They didn't have the home button on the Smart Pro. Nintendo DS, Nintendo 64. It's interesting that it says Nintendo DS, but there's apparently no games. Yeah. So you can put your own games if you want. But for the Mega Drive, aka Sega Genesis, 1,536 games. MAME, which is arcade, is 403. Nothing from MAME 2010, but 106 N64 games. None of the 007 games, but we can definitely add them if that's a requested thing. But some good looking options here. Atari 2600. I don't know if you've paid attention on my live streams, but I mentioned as a kid and also on my Discord server, the 2600 and the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, were the two first consoles that we got. My dad got at like a pawn shop or a garage sale and brought them home. So I have fond memories of playing an old Atari 2600. I like instead of Famicom, they're like Fanny-con, Fanny, which is funny because in North America and in the UK, Fanny means something different to each of us, but in either case, it would be funny. So if you're not familiar with what Fanny is for either country, Google Fanny in UK or Fanny in North America. And then they have, instead of Game Boy, the Gom Boy and the Gom Boy Advance and the Gom Boy Color. I love it. I love it. Game Gear. Master System. I had a friend growing up that had a Master System. In the Neo Geo, Nintendo DS and Neo Geo Pocket are not on board as far as included games, but you can add them yourself if you want. I think 90 games, that's pretty close to all of the games that are available for Pico 8, but they're free to download from their website, so you can get more if you want to, of course. And of course, since we had the Fanny Boy and all that, we have the Super Fanny Con. We have the Wonder Swan Color. Have to again test Sega Saturn more. But yeah, I have some other games I can put on here too to test out. I just need to know what you guys want to see as well. But all in all, it does feel a little bit heavier than this guy, which again makes sense because now you have active cooling and whatnot on here. But it does feel really good. I'm sure my wife will probably want to steal this one as well after I'm done with my review. But I love that we now have clickable sticks because again, PlayStation games have that and some other consoles have the clickable triggers. So it's good that we have that. All in all, it seems like a pretty nice upgrade. More testing is needed, of course, but that's why I test for a week and have my live streams so I can test some of the things with you guys. So remember, my live streams are at 7 o'clock Thai time every Wednesday. Now at 7 p.m. And of course, they're always immediately available on my channel afterwards if you're not able to attend live. But leave a comment down in this video, and I'll also be posting a upcoming event for the live stream. So you can also jump on there early, set up notifications for it, and leave a comment on it early saying, please, show me gameplay of X game. Metal Gear Solid, good choice. That's my favorite game series of all time. But with that said, I'm not going to bother you anymore. Until Wednesday, this has been P-Nick.